navy blue of Victoria.
Uses his feet and goes again through mid-wicket. That's an even better shot from the Victorian captain.
Swept away very nicely by Nicole Bolton for four.
Oh, he's been given! That is 50. The man from Northcote.
And welcome to the latest edition of the Vic State Cricket Podcast. I'm Adam White, and we are in for a very special half hour or so. We've got spin twins, well, sort of spin twins. We've got Jon Holland from the Victorian State team at the moment, and then our very special guest is Fawad Ahmed. So really looking forward to chatting to Fawad about his career for Victoria, his career for Australia, his career for his 28 or 30 teams that he's played with over the journey, but also how it came to pass that he bowled a leg spin and how well he bowled it. But firstly, Jon Holland, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Finally, we've got you on. It's good.
Yeah, good to be invited.
Unfortunately, though, we can't talk about you playing the last Shield game that finished last week. It was a draw. Victoria, you'd almost call it a winning draw. They were probably the more dominant team once you got through the 4 days. But what were your thoughts before we work out where you're at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. I think same as the previous game. I think we've been playing pretty good cricket. The wickets probably haven't deteriorated like we would have thought on both games, which has been unfortunate. I think we've been in a winning position both games and had the game there ready to win, and we just haven't been able to capitalise on good positions and take 10 wickets on the final day.
The headline act was obviously the partnership between Pete Hanscom and also Sammy Harper, particularly Pete to score 281 not out. I know you sort of saw most of it through the 4 days. Have you ever seen Pete bat as well as he's batting at the moment? You played a lot of cricket with him.
Yeah, definitely. I think that Pete's got to still be in line for an Australia call-up. I said before the season that if he starts the summer really well, he's definitely got to be a chance there in the Australian summer, but definitely to go to India later in the season. So, look, I think he's batting beautifully. He's confident, and you can really tell in the nets and that he's hitting the middle of the bat consistently, and he's really confident in where his game's at, which is really good to see.
Rawantha Kelapotha got his debut cap for Victoria. It's a tough initiation to go out and play against the Shield champions. How did you think he went? Yeah,
I think he did really well. Obviously leg spin's very difficult, and to be coming off the 2 COVID seasons where he hasn't played much red ball cricket, if any, I think. So to go out there and have to wheel away a few overs on a flat pitch, I think he did really well.
And what about Todd Murphy, who had to, with you out of the side, had to sort of take on the leadership role? He bowled a lot of overs. And they kind of tried to go after him, I think, initially, but he sort of took that barrage and then got into his work.
Yeah, I think bowling out there on day one's no easy task for a spinner, especially a finger spinner. I think Toddy's, he's a great talent. Every time he's come out and played for Victoria, he's done extremely well. So, it was exciting to see him go out there and probably be the main spinner and the number one spinner and bowl really well and claw his way back into the game. They're good players to spin, especially on a flat wicket like that, and they did look to attack him. And I think the way he just stuck at it and kept going to what he knew and then to come out with 3 wickets in the first inning, I think it's a great effort.
Now, where are you at? Because there is a suggestion you've done both calves. I'm not sure that's actually possible. The only person that I can think of that did that was Adam Treloar when he did both hamstrings running down the wing at the MCG.
Yeah, I was probably running as fast as him too when I did it.
What has happened?
I'm not sure. Look, I felt the right one go when I was batting, and one of my worst fears is going off the ground and not taking part of the match and having a scan and nothing showing up. So I spoke to Nico, the physio, and I got him to strap it up, and I kept playing. And then I woke up one morning, I could hardly walk, and I said, I think I've done the other one as well. And it turned out that I did. So it's a bit unfortunate. Everyone I've spoken to keeps telling me it's an old man's injury, so maybe it's telling me something.
Well, the most important thing is, when are you going to be back? Because you've got an important season ahead. You talk about Pete Hanscom going to India. I'm sure that's something that's still very much on your radar. Where are you at?
I'm looking to play the Queensland game, so I think we go down to Tassie this week and play them in a Shield game, and then hopefully I'll be back for the next one. That's the aim anyway, and I don't think I'll rush trying to get back, but it'd be nice to get back and play some cricket.
All right, fingers crossed. Now, Fawad Ahmed, he's our special guest. Before we introduce Fawad, what was something that you remember of Fawad that sort of sticks in your mind? There's so much to unpack, I know, but you got to bowl a bit together over the time.
Yeah, Fuzz was an amazing bowler. His control that he had, as well as putting so much revs on the ball as a leg spinner, was amazing. So, it was always good playing with another spinner as well. It took a bit of pressure off you. You knew that there was two of them out there instead of being the only one to win the game on the final day. So I think playing with Fuzz was it was great. One memory that really stands out is when he walked out to bat without his bat. That was probably one of the highlights of playing with Fuzz, and I think everyone really enjoyed that.
Well, let's bring you in, Fawad. He sort of gave you a rap and then a bit of a clip on the way through. We may as well start with that. What happened that day? Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, Doc. Thanks for having me here. It's nice to see Doc as well. So, good memories. Great reminder as well. Actually, I think bowler and Whitey was batting for a long time, and I was going to bat next, and it was a long partnership. I think they saved the game as well. Was that game or was
against
it
New South?
Yeah, no, that was against WA we were playing. Yeah, but I think they were batting for a long time, and I was there and was just playing with my cricket bat and cleaning up, and I cut my thumb, and then I asked Nico to tap it up. So he tapped that one up, and then suddenly the wicket fall, and I was rushing kit for batting. So I usually do put my bat in my armpit and then wear the gloves and then I get in. So what I have done wrong that I put my one glove in because I was a little bit more careful to put my thumb in the glove, and then I got the second glove. So the armpit was failing. There is something. So no cricket bat. It was a batting glove. And then when I wore the next one, and then I said, oh no. And then when I had a look back, especially John Hastings was there. He was laughing, and I said, oh, Fuzz. And then I knew that there's cameras there as well. And as soon as I came back, I batted, I think, well, that I was hanging there for a while, and then I came back. It was all on social media. I was tagged by cricket.com.au as well, and it was so unbelievable. Yeah, I think it was 500,000 views in a couple of days or something.
You're trending. You're trending. I want to go all the way back. Now, you grew up in northwest Pakistan. Tell us about what that was like, your childhood and growing up and playing cricket.
Yeah, beautiful. It's a nice part of the world and of the country as well. We're not far from Himalayas, so it's very beautiful. People might know now because of the current floods, we have the most glaciers after Arctic. So it's unreal. People think it's going to be desert or, there is nothing there. So Pakistan got the most glaciers in the world. And it's some of the places, some of the areas that are like in snow 12 months a year as well. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Come as a childhood, got two older brothers. So I'm playing a lot of backyard cricket and different sports. It was back in the days in especially early 90s, mid 90s, when I was in the school and playing. We play during the season different games. So like in winter was mostly hockey. Field hockey was very famous. Pakistan, I think, won the World Cup in 1994 here in Australia, and they lost the grand final in 1990. So, and by that time, Pakistan already won 4 World Cups. So, and then in 1992 Cricket World Cup as well. So there was a massive clash between field hockey and cricket as well. So and hockey's a lot cheaper. Then you get a one stick and that one ball and that's it. So, but cricket was pretty expensive as well. And you need a big ground. So we used to play hockey like we get like those community center everywhere, and they got like a bigger backyards, and so we used to play over there as well, hockey. So, and badminton as well, volleyball as well. But again, cricket became very famous after 1992 World Cup winning, and then the next World Cup was in Pakistan. So, and we were in the school, and there was massive hype there. World Cup is coming to Pakistan was before in 1987, but very young. Don't remember anything of that, but 1996, and then after that was just kept playing, and
so you're playing all the time, like at school, after school. Was it half-tape tennis balls like, we grew up doing in the backyard and those sorts of things?
Just tape tennis. Where I have played cricket with a cricket ball when I went to college. So there was no cricket gear, no cricket ground, no school cricket either. So I just played hockey in school.
Yep.
And then start playing cricket when I went to college. So it's a different system. So we finish at year 16, and then when we turn 17, we go to college, and then we start 2 years in college, and then 4 years in uni. So I think that's where I start playing cricket, and then from there I start playing club cricket, and then under 19 and those ones there.
So who are your heroes growing up? Who did you want to be when you were deciding on a career path towards playing cricket?
Honestly, even that time, Shane Warne was emerging, and then that's the first time when I saw him when he came to Pakistan to play World Cup, and that's the, I think, when I remember the first time, especially when playing the grand final and the semi-final. There was semi-final, I think, was in India, was against West Indies,
Yep.
And then the grand final against Sri Lanka in Lahore. Was watching on the telly. That's how far I remember watching Shane Warne, and from there just how bowled leg spin. And there was Mushtaq Ahmed there as well. Afridi came through that year as well, but they're completely different, all the leg spinners from that era, they replicate Shane Warne, everywhere around the world, I think so. So he was one of the best in the history. So try to walk really slow and try to explode in the crease and try to put a lot of revs on the ball. And I was actually the only one in my whole kind of a district to bowl leg spin with a tape tennis ball. It was unreal. So I think I was the only one spinner in around 1.2 million population, and there was like hundreds of team, but no one bowled because we play on the concrete, and tape tennis, it was hard to spin, and I was the only bowler who can bowl leg spin. Used to bat and just keep some time, but then when I started bowling leg spin with tape tennis, I was kept bowling.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you get into bowling spin, John? What made you?
I used to bowl the seam up when I was a kid, and then it was just hot one day at train. I couldn't be bothered running in, so I started throwing down a few spinners and stuck with it. Completely different to Fuzz's story, but
Yeah, that's right. So when did you get to a point where you thought, I'd do this all right?
I was under 14s, the Hatch competition
Yep.
down at Moorabbin Hatch. Coach Dave Longhurst,
Yep.
he was. That's where I started bowling them, and he said maybe stick with that. And I played that year with two other spinners, Nath Allen, who was a very good leg spin bowler, and Josh Mangan, who played first class cricket as well. So sort of stuck at it.
Probably did a good thing.
Yeah, good
sticking
move, I
out.
think.
Yeah, exactly right. So, Fawad, that was your upbringing in northwest Pakistan, and then coming to Australia. I know you've told the story many times, but to our audience, explain the decision initially to come out to Australia and I guess the risk of doing that, the leaving your family, all those sorts of things. I can't imagine the thoughts that would have been going through your mind at the time.
Yeah, tough, very tough at that time because I was young and I was playing really well. I played, I think, 10 games that year, first class games, and I bowled really well. And I was taking wickets as well. So, and would have been a chance to play the next level over there as well. So I was up and running in the radar as well. I was a part of at one stage, under 19 team as well, part of the group of the Pakistan team in 30 players as well. So, yeah, that would have been, the story at that time. But yeah, unfortunately, the things were going really bad back in my areas, especially with the terrorism. It was tough. I know it was extremely tough at that time. That was when, especially the Afghan war was on a really peak. And a lot of things since 2007 when the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Benazir Bhutto, was assassinated. After that, it was pretty bad, and there was it was kind of a war zone. So we literally on the border of Afghanistan. I'm not far, maybe 80 kilometers, 80 or 85 kilometers from actual border, and the border is 1,400 kilometer long. It's in the mountains as well, and so it's not easy to protect that. The people we in British India. So there was back in 1890, they leased our state from the Afghanistan. So the British government, and we were part of the Afghanistan. So even now, in my nationality in Pakistan, I still write as an Afghan but Pakistani. So we speak the same language. So when I speak to Rashid Khan or Nabi, so we have the same culture, same language, everything similar, but we lives in Pakistan. So we became the part of Pakistan when Pakistan came into being in 1947 with India. So that really close to Afghanistan, and it was complete wars. I don't remember the Soviet war, but I heard from my elders that there was like uh, uh, international forces there and ammos there and jet planes, and it was same again. The same things was happening, repeating itself, and yeah, massive. Then the terrorists and everything just got mixed. At that time, people came from Afghanistan, going in and out, and you don't know. And then we got that Kalashnikov culture and fume culture and heroin all the way from the Afghanistan as well. So yeah, with law and order was pretty bad. It was tough. I need to find a right place, and it was tough decision. I felt it because my mom passed away 2 years ago. It was in COVID. She's still young, 67-year-old, not too old, and yeah, I just missed out on her last 12 years, because I've been living here, and I applied for her visa as well. It took a lot of time, and by the time we got COVID, and she never came, and then she passed away in November 2020, and I'm missing that because I left the country for the sake of life, but then I'm the youngest, so she missed me all these years. So I got married 3-4 years ago, and I thought it's about time that I can bring her over. She can spend some time with me. It was hard for me because when I was single, playing a lot of cricket throughout the world, and she definitely needed someone to look after. So I thought it's the right time now. I got married now, and my wife can look after her when I'm away playing cricket. But it's just never happened. Some of the things you just can't control. So it was tough decision at that time as well, and I still feel it now. And I'm pretty happy here. It's an amazing place. I call it home. Went to MCG last night, and it was some people watching cricket, but it was a lot of good memories, playing first time there and playing with Duck and all the Vicks boys over there, throughout those years. And I felt it really very humble to call it home as well, It was amazing stage last night, but again, it was tough decision to move, leaving your country and your family. It's not easy living here for a long period by myself. I felt it all the time, especially winning Shield, playing for Australia, getting citizenship, and I couldn't share it with my family because there was no one here. So taking a cab from the airport and going to the empty home, it wasn't a nice feeling at times, but it is what it is. You can't have everything in life. That's the story of, I think, every person. You always missing something, and I was missing family. So I know it was tough to share, especially my success or just my lifestyle. Whatever it is.
So when you come out in 2010, you made the decision on your own. So no brothers, no family at all to help, I guess, share that experience. You're picking fruit in country Victoria. So what did you bring with you when you came?
Nothing. I couldn't see any light. I thought I'm going through the tunnel. It's dark, and I just said, let's jump. Language barrier, culture barrier. I heard a lot of Australia, knew all the cities and states and about Shield cricket, about the greats of the cricket. Couldn't even differentiate between footy and rugby. I thought it's rugby, but then people told me it's footy. went to the Collingwood and Bulldogs games, and my friend was wearing Bulldogs jumper, and they got smashed. And we got bullied big time from Collingwood fans, and then I turned to be a Collingwood fan. So it was funny, but yeah, it was tough. Got my first ride on the train. I got the ticket because I got the wrong ticket. And I told him I don't know anything. I got the passport, was carrying. I was scared because I said, look, this is my visa. I'm legal here. And they said, no, you should do your research and, everything. So you should know what tickets you need to get. And I got $75 fine at my first try. So I went on thing at that time was zone 2 something. I got the zone 1 ticket or something. So yeah, it was tough in the start.
So just literally getting off the plane, and what was the plan? Was there any plan at all, or was it just
No, I
work
was
it out when you get here?
Friend of a friend of a friend, and he picked me.
Yep.
A student from the airport. I thought spend a week or 2 with him, and then I would find my own place. Was not bad with computer. Went on the Gumtree, find a room, shared with another person, all strangers, and then trying to find a job, find someone. He was a contractor with fruit picking at the Bendigo. And that was bloody hard in cold winter. It was weird for me as well because June and July, that's summer in Pakistan, and couldn't accept it because it's June, it's cold and it's short days. I said, what's going on? It was very weird, and then 2.5 hours drive from each side. So going on the train to Water Garden Station. From there was a couple of more guys. They were doing the fruit picking. They picked me up, paid them $10 to give me a ride, and back and forth. And then 8 hours fruit picking in cold and wet. It was the wettest season, in Victoria for a long time. After a long time, there was a drought before for 10, 15 years. And yeah, it was tough for a couple of months, but I planned myself. So I said, look, this is for food, this is for rent, and this is for other expenses. And then I said, look, I will find a job somewhere around so I can save those 5 hours. So I was leaving 4:30 in the morning in winter and coming back 7:38. My roommate used to turn on some alarm, like it was some song, and I get still nightmares from that song if I hear that song. Seriously, like 4:30 a.m. You just went to bed like around 9 p.m. and then 4:30 it's ringing again. I said, oh my word, where I am now? There was no cricket, no plans, nothing. I said, what am I gonna do? And then asking everyone because I didn't know anything. Then someone told me, then applying for the visa or, also applying for the asylum. And there was a long story. There was one lawyer, she in Yarraville, she was charging like, I think $200 for an hour. And it was so expensive, So it was tough, but I was, honestly, I never worked before. I played cricket there in Pakistan, a little bit just teaching, just for fun. But again, I thought I'm young, I'm strong, I can do hard work. So I went on the hard work, I have done a lot of labor job, for the next 2 years, like in fertilizer company, fencing company, then Kmart warehouse. And I was doing a lot of labor job, like physical job. So I took it in a different way because then I started playing cricket for Hoppers Crossing and was bowling to these guys to Wicks in the nets. And I thought, I don't have any time. It could be the only thing that I can get stronger, do physical work. So I took it that way.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of physical work. So you get stronger while you're working as well. And then I find my way to bowl to Wicks, train with Melbourne Uni and train with Hoppers Crossing as well.
Now, I'm dying for you to tell the story about how Victoria found you, and I'm interested in Jon's views, and I reckon you might have been around at that time as well. There's a great story I want you to share. But just the Hoppers Crossing experience, a sub-district cricket club now, but it wasn't at the time. It's the same club that Stuart Broad played at, Hoppers Crossing. How did you find Hoppers Crossing? And you clearly made a good impression because you took so many wickets straight away, and that got your cricket rolling.
It was amazing because when I went to the North Melbourne Cricket Club first training session, I don't remember where it was, but somewhere around in the West. And then one of the guy who used to play for Hoppers Crossing, then he moved to North Melbourne. He played there for 10 years. And then he was going back to his home club, Trentside, and he was going to be a captain as well, coach as well. And I went there for training session, and he saw me, said, would you like to play for us? And I said, where? He said, Hoppers Crossing. They were not even playing in the senior division, I think North Division 2 or something. in VTCA. And I said, okay, I didn't even know what's grade cricket, what's like VTCA, what is subbies. And he said, well, I need a job. He said, we will find you a job. We will give you some cash as well. I think it was $3,500 for a season. And I said, look, I'm not fussy about the money. I need a job. I need a good job, so where I can work and then I'll play cricket. He says, okay, come. And then I went there. There was the Hobbs Crossing. Yeah, so then I find out Stuart Broad played there, I think 2005.
Yeah,
I think 5-6 season. Yeah,
as an opening batsman.
Yeah, so, I heard he was pretty good. I think he played all the junior cricket as a batter.
Yeah, he did.
That's what I heard. So, and then he started bowling, doing really
Doing
good jobs.
quite well.
Yeah,
So
500 plus wickets.
So you played Hobbs Crossing. You said you take a truckload of wickets. Now you're also doing a little bit of coaching on the side, and you're at the MCG and you see the Victorians training, and you're just in your trousers and a shirt and I don't know, some leather shoes. You're certainly not there to play cricket. And you go up to Simon Helmet and say, "Can I have a bowl to the Victorians?" Is that pretty much how the story goes?
Yeah, so I done my level 1 and I thought, look, it's about time. I might be not able to play cricket here. You know, I don't know how it works. I heard a lot about Australian cricket. It's pretty tough, 6 teams only. And but I never even thought, like, forget about 6 teams or it's tough, whatever. I thought I'm not going to be playing cricket anymore. I'm done. So let's find a good life, safe life, support my family, support myself, and let's go. It's a new chance. You hardly get second chance in your life, and I thought I will grab it with both hands. And then I said, look, I will go and do my level 2, so I can be still related to do something, you know, like to find a better life even in Australia. So I went to get my forklift license as well at that time, and trying to make it easier for rather picking fruits, you know, throughout my life. So yes, was one day was here at the at the MCG, and we went to see. They said we were gonna go and watch the Wicks boys, the bush rangers by that time, training session, and I'm not that brave enough, you know, and I just went to Simon and I said, "Can I bowl?" And he looked up there. He was sitting down and he said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I bowl spin." He says, "What?" I said, "I bowl leg spin." And that was, I think, I didn't even play any cricket for a long time, because that was in June or July, and the summer was finishing in February and March, and in 3-4 months, no cricket whatsoever. Thanks to Bobby Coyne. He was batting. I didn't even know he's there. I thought he's a fast bowler because tall and big, you know. I bowled first ball and it spun big, went through the gate. I thought, let's bowl a googly next one. So I bowled a googly. He went this way and went the other way. When I had a look where, so everyone was watching, and then from there it just went on. And Shippy asked me, "Can you bowl for the next few minutes?" And then I bowled for the next hour. Left the coaching session. I was very sore that time, and then Shippy and Helmo was keep asking me to come and bowl to us. And then I think he was struggling with shoulder injury. Yeah. So he was struggling as well, and I think there was no spinners there. No spinner. And it was just the right time, you know. I was getting there, and then the next season when I played for Hobbs Crossing, that's the season where I took almost 5 wickets in every single inning. And then I played T20 for Melbourne Uni as well, so you can play as a guest player. And I bowled really well for Melbourne Uni as well. And I think first game was pretty good, went 4 for 8 something in 4 overs. And then from there, when I got my residency, so I was straight in.
So I'm going to flip it around now, John. You're at training. This bloke with chinos and a shirt and leather shoes asked to bowl from up in the viewing area. This is something that happens in dreams. I dream this sort of stuff all the time. What are you thinking?
Oh, it was amazing. I just remember, like, everyone was sort of at the back, especially at the MCG when you had the net and you could walk past. And I just remember all the boys watching and blokes coming in from bat and saying, "Geez, who is this bloke?" Like, he was bamboozling everyone. And then the tail would come in. You'd watch them bowl to, like, the bowlers, and they couldn't hit it. And it really was an amazing thing that was happening. And then all of a sudden, like, the rest is history. Like, Johnny McWhirter was chairman of selectors, I think, and Fuzz was in. And yeah, it's a great story, really.
It is. So were you nervous? Did you think this is my one opportunity to impress, or was it just
No,
I love
was-
playing cricket, I just want to bowl?
I was excited. I saw like Hustler was there and Whitey was there. Whitey was still playing for Australia and Finchie was up and coming. Maxi was there, up and coming. Sids was there. A lot of superstars there, and I was just bowling to them. That's the only thing. That's it. I never, even at that time, I never thought of, even for the next whole year, I never thought I'm going to play for Victoria because I was finding a nice job or life, and just playing Hoppers Crossing. That's not even VTCA senior. So, yeah, it was amazing. Even from that time, I just took a day off from work, a sick leave and bowling to these guys because they used to train during, still, like full-time jobs. So they train during the daytime. And I said, look, I'm not going to miss. And just for fun, honestly. Not something that I had in my mind that I'm going to play for Vicks or for Australia or something like that. So I'm enjoying. I'm going to go and that's what I have done my whole life, And if I'm just bowling in nets to them. But it helped me because I was so familiar with everyone. I was kind of part of the club as well. And then when I was going into, I wasn't a stranger, There was nothing new to me. So I made friends for life now, and then it was amazing, to get into the squad and playing there. Yeah.
So you almost became like a professional net bowler because not only were you doing it for Victoria, you end up doing it for Australia as well. And Ed Cowan was so impressed with what you were doing. He actually asked Cricket Australia if he could, have this almost like a relationship with you because he was worried about Imran Tahir in an upcoming South African series, and it kind of helped you stay in the country as you sort of went up the grades, even though you weren't playing necessarily, but with what you were doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think that was the turning point of changing a career and especially getting a visa as well. I think because one of my friend, he used to play with me in Hoppers Crossing, good friend with what's the Aussie physio name? The Greek guy, the big one.
Contouris.
Yeah, Contouris. So he's a good friend with Contouris, and he said, look, we have a good leg spinner. Can he come and bowl to the Aussies, And I was so pumped. Oh, look, we're bowling to Wakes and now bowling to Aussies. And then I went there, and I think JL was batting coach at that time as well. And then a few guys asked me, what do you do? You here just for a season? I said, no, I live here permanently. Yeah, I'm here. And then, bowling there, and it was nice. And then when South Africa came in, they says, oh, we don't have any leg spinner. I can't imagine there was no leg spinner in the whole country. And they says, can you come in? I was, my Melbourne Uni Club president, Derek Bennett, called me, Faz, do you know that you're going to Brisbane to be with Aussies for a week or two? I said, you kidding me? And I was so excited, called my workplace, I'm going to play cricket, I'm off and going to Brisbane. It was amazing. Yeah, a good week over there in Brisbane. I bowled, I think, pretty well over there as well. And then, from there it was just Chloe from the Edge. She wrote a story, and then, it was history.
There went bang.
Yeah.
There went whoosh.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everyone knew who you were. So while that was going on, it was starting to get a bit, I don't know what quite the right word is, but are you going to be able to stay or not? Were you going to be forced to go back home? It was really a dicey time for you. So all this good stuff is happening to you, and then you've got the political side of things.
Yeah.
How did you cope with that, and how perilous, that's probably the word I'm thinking of, that you actually were going to have to go back home?
So that was the actual tough time as well, off the field. And when I was playing cricket and then start dreaming as well, playing the next level as well. And then suddenly my visas got refused as well. They says you got 28 days, pay your debt, renew your passport. Passport was expired as well. I didn't even know where is my passport is. I said, it's gone now. And they says, book your flight, and within 28 days, you're going back home. And that was the tough, I think it was September 2011 or, no, 2012, September, October, something like that. It was tough. And then where Melbourne Uni especially and Hoppers Crossing both, they really helped me. And then from there, I think Ricky Ponting helped me as well. He was nice, actually. First day at Brisbane, we were at Mantra and South Bank, And then he came up to me. He says, "I'm Ricky," and I was just sitting right in the back in the corner, by myself. And he says, "Come, sit with me." And it was nice of him. He was just asking about family or what's happening in Pakistan. He says, "I heard a lot of news." He was reading a newspaper as well, and I said, "How's your family? How's life back in Pakistan?" And then he said, "This is my number, and if you need anything, just let me know." And then after that 1 week when I came back to Melbourne, and then my club president asked me if you can. No, actually, we already applied for the ministerial intervention, and then they says if someone can. That was the last thing. If someone can tell us he's good enough to play the next level, so we will give you a visa. And then he said straight away, "Call Ricky." I said, called him, He didn't pick up. Then I sent him a message. He called me back. He said, "I will let you know." I thought he's gone. He's not going to get back to me. Then his manager, I don't remember who was at that time, he sent me a message, and then he sent me a letter. We sent it to the immigration department. The next day I got my permanent residency. It was amazing. He wrote down he's good enough to play the next level. Yeah, he can represent the country and he's good enough. So I think that was enough.
And you did. You represented your country and you represented your state so many times. So rolling the clock forward a little bit, I'm interested in knowing a bit more about the pressure. So it became a different pressure. It became this pressure of, it wasn't Fawad Ahmed the leg spinner, it was Fawad Ahmed the refugee, the asylum seeker, and then all the pressure that comes with that and all the attention, I guess. How did you cope with that? Because all of a sudden there's this pressure of, well, if he's good enough to stay, he must be good enough to play for Australia, let alone play for Victoria.
It was tough. My first official training here at Junction Oval, we were playing against South Australia, 4-day game and then a 1-day game. So I got picked in the team, and in a huddle, I had a look around. I said, "Fawaz, how are you going to be fitting in this team?" So I look around. I think at that time, everyone played for Australia. Currently was playing, someone played in the past as well. I said, when I had a look, there were some big names, like from 1 to 10, they were all big names. I said, "Fawaz, whoa, my word, there is some competition there to fit in," because I played first-class cricket in Pakistan, but for the next 2 years did nothing, like just labor job, and it was hard, and especially all the media things, and I was still finding my feet, here in Australia, and massive language barrier as well. But yeah, it was tough. I think not at that time, especially after playing Shield cricket and then few 1-days, and after the season when there was more hype about the Ashes and going there on A tours. Honestly, I was a bit lost in all those with the media and with interviews, going back forth and back to England and South Africa, coming back for my citizenship test and this happening, that happening. I think I didn't train much. I didn't focus much on my bowling at that time. And yeah, it was tough, especially with the media, people talking. I know it was rubbish, but saying next Shane won this and that. But I bowled really well in those 3 games for Victoria, and also in the 1-day games. I played 2-3 games against the English Lions as well. That was the first time when I played for Vics, and then the Ryobi Cup or Matador Cup at that time, and then few 4-day games. But it was tough. It was not easy for someone like me who came from Norway, and then suddenly playing for Vics and people talking about playing for Australia. I said, "What's happening?" I was 4 months ago. I was playing for Hoppers Crossing in the VTCA, second division, not even the senior division.
So what was it like then as a teammate, a squad member? And the unique, I guess, scenario where sometimes, in fact, often there's only one spinner in the team. And you're the spinner. This guy that you've just seen bowl with the chinos and the shirt at training, all of a sudden he's a teammate.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Well, sitting back being a spinner as well, I was like, "Who is this bloke?" I'd just done my time behind Bryce, and I thought, "Well, here I am. It's my spot." I was coming back from a shoulder injury, but then to have Fuzz around, he fitted in the group so well. He's got a great personality. He's got he's a great character around the group. So I think he just fitted in so well. Obviously, his talent spoke for itself. He did a great job bowling for Victoria. Won a lot of games for Victoria, bowling his leg spin. So it was just a great thing that was happening. I think not just the cricket side of it, but the life side of it as well. That the country that he was led into the country, and and to do what he did with all that going on in the background, it's a great achievement.
205 first-class wickets. You must be pretty proud of that. That's a lot of wickets.
Yeah,
From playing Hoppers Crossing, second division.
Yeah, especially I wasn't expecting to be playing cricket anymore, and especially on the back of Duck comments, getting into the squad and finding my feet there to be the part of the kind of a family. I still got those WhatsApp groups as well. So honestly, I goes through all the photos and messages. Very funny. The player group. And we got a lot of banter. I was watching some of the pictures from the Dago the other day. It was funny. And especially sharing my life, my culture. I'm not saying but people don't know much here in Australia, especially sharing I do remember, maybe he doesn't remember, but they were asking a lot of questions in the start of my career. So what is this? What is it? Because I know I'm not blaming media for this, but I think whatever people watch here these days on their phone or on their TV, that's what they believe. But the actual thing is completely different. So, and then they realize about even the food and the prayers, and then they find out about the Ramadan, and they say, oh, you're not gonna eat, you're not gonna drink, and you're still gonna play. I went on the Ashes tour there, even when I went to England a couple of times, or in South Africa as well. Both times I was playing for Australia, and then actually a good story from Finchy as well. He was captain in South Africa, and we were batting, I think, unbelievably, there was flat wicket, and I asked him, Finchy, if we are batting all day, I think we were 1 down or 2 down, and then I'm going to fast. And if you are fielding, I'm going to skip it, and then I will keep it later on. Because I'm traveling, we got the little bit relaxation, He said, fast, we're going to bat all day. Lunchtime, he declared. And then the next 2 sessions, I literally bowled more than 20 hours while fasting. And I know Davey Warner was there. He was angry at him as well. I said, what have you done, mate, to me? So it's tough. But it was amazing to share my culture, my religion with them, and it's just a knowledge, to know it's almost 1 million people lives here. They follow the same religion, and a lot of people from my background as well. So next time someone comes about, at least first time it was hard for me to find a halal food as well here, especially while traveling. I remember went to Tazi, still hard to find it in Tazi, but in Hobart I just ate fruits and veggies,
Alice Springs.
Made nothing. Yeah, Alice Springs pretty hard as well. Good story there, Alex Spring. I think Alex Spring was pretty good for. I think that was the highlight of my career with Duck. Where we both played really well together. I think it was amazing. There's 2 spinners bowling a lot of overs and winning. He was taking 5 in one innings. I was taking in other innings. It was amazing. I remember Alice, blessing in disguise, because we wanted to play at the MCG. But I think it was a good turning point for both of us to play together, where he played from their Test cricket as well. It was amazing. Honestly, I personally rate him really, really high, the way he bowls, and I really enjoyed my time with Duck, on the field, especially Alice Springs and at Adelaide, where we played a lot of games there.
So both of you talk about that whole thing we talk often about batting partnerships. We just saw a massive one last week with Peter Hanscom and also with Sam Harper. But bowling partnerships aren't often spoken about the same way. How did you guys work together to become a successful combination? What was the secret to your success?
I think just like the quicks, you sort of just had to do it from both ends. I think Fuzz had such great control that there was never really any pressure on me as a finger spinner to try and hold from one end. So I think we were both, putting pressure on the batsman all the time, especially when we got on wickets that suited us. We were, we worked really well together. I think also as soon as you got into the lower order batters with Fuzz with his variations, he just you knew straight away that they weren't going to last long. So it sort of took a lot of pressure off off each of us. I think having another spinner there, you just didn't, you weren't heavily relied on, especially on that last day. So I think it was just, it was really enjoyable to play with another spinner as well, bowling lots of overs together, and you never went overtime either, which was a plus. It was always good we'd finish the overs on time. So no, it was really exciting time at Victoria, and we had such a successful time as well when Fuzz was around. I think he would have played in 3 or 4 Shield finals. So
Yeah, it's amazing. Even I will just add on something like having someone really good in your squad. I think it's make you better. So we fought for the first few years, rather playing together later on in Alice Spring, but you hardly played 2 spinners. We did play here at the MCG and around the country as well together, but I think it's really push you hard to work harder, because we were fighting. We were kind of a Tom and Jerry. I don't know who's Tom and who's Jerry, but yeah, after each other, because there's only one spot, especially in a country like Australia. But Alice Spring happens. It was nice where we can play both together and winning games for the Vicks. But yeah, it does make a massive difference if you have a good spinner in your team, because that's what push you harder. You might get relaxed sometime and you might lose, whatever you have, you feel relaxed. Oh, I'm good enough. I got the spot, But again, if someone is just sitting there and if you don't bowl well, he come. So throughout the career, a lot of time I got dropped. He played, he got dropped, I played. And then later on, when I moved on more with the whiteboard, he played regularly. I still got sneak in the last year, played 2-3 games, but I think you were injured, yeah? Or
Yeah,
you
maybe.
no, you went
away.
you went to South Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just I think so good to play with a really good spinner alongside, on the field as well. If you are both in the squad, I think it still helps, to help you to work hard and play well and get your spot back.
We haven't got much more time. I'm conscious of time. There's so many more questions I want to ask. But you mentioned that Shane Warne dream to be like him in northwest Pakistan, and then you got to spend time with him. How much time did you spend with him? What sort of influence did he have on you? And what was that experience like?
I think amazing. The first time when I met him, it was Sam in the net bowling session for Melbourne Star at the MCG, and I was bowling with him in the same nets, and yeah, I didn't even say hi to him. I thought he might don't even respond. Shane Warne. I was still pinching myself, and I bowled really well. I think Wadey was batting at that time, and he came up to me. He says, "I'm Shane," and I was so bummed. I said, "Yes," and then after the session, I asked him, "Any tips?" And he said, "You got everything," and he just simply said, "Bowl 300 balls every day if you want to play." From that day. So Tuesday, Thursday, training with clubs, during the week, training with them, but mostly Monday, Wednesday, Friday, going to nets on my own, bowling 300 balls. And it helped me. I think I hardly bowled bad balls throughout my careers, like it's something you can get, like some of the things you can't get. Like if I'm saying I can get the same amount of revs Shane Warne and McGill produce, it's just kind of a natural thing. But yeah, the control, it can come with the hard work. Learning different varieties is still easy. But some of like if someone is bowling 130, if he work hard, like really working hard, he can't get to 150. It's just a natural thing, So, but yeah, that really helps me bowling a lot of balls, a lot of training with the 3 different teams. And there was a really good advice. Then later on, I had few more session with him. It's very sad he's not here. Even other day, it's on the social media. Time to time, you see the videos, people uploading. You hear his voice. I know he wasn't playing anymore, but on the commentary box, he was a little bit different from everyone. Very opinionated, but was king. He could have said anything, about anyone's, but. Yeah, it's sad we're not gonna hear his voice this summer. I know it's gonna be completely different, but it is what it is. We can't control. But yeah, I had an amazing few sessions with him, and I felt really lucky and privileged to meet him in person as well.
And did you mentioned it before about feeling the pressure of being the next Shane Warne? Does that, and it's probably to you, John, as well, as being, there's almost this expectation, the spinner, he'll just get it done on the final day. He'll spin into the rough and they'll spin them to victory. Now, you did it a number of times, Fawad. I remember out here at Junction Oval doing it against New South Wales when all seemed lost. You got your wrong and going and away it went. How did you cope with that pressure?
Yeah, because the expectation make it really hard, and people expect from you and you don't deliver, and then you think modern day cricket, everyone watching on their phones or on telly, and people following a lot. So if you don't perform, and then you go, I know it's hard to resist these days. You're definitely going on social media. Next day, people used to tell you that don't read newspaper, don't watch news. If you don't play well. But it's completely different now. It's the first thing you check your WhatsApp or your Twitter or your Instagram, and it's pretty hard, or Facebook. And then you see people roasting you as well. And it's tough, to take some criticism because people don't understand, how it's hard to perform all the time. If you look on some of the greats of the game, like Ricky Ponting or Tendulkar, the amount of the games they played, but the amount of 150s they make, comparison, they played only few months of good cricket in their whole career, but they're one of the greats, and that's how it works. So it was tough, to take that pressure. It's not easy, especially when there is expectation. You have to perform well, but if you are somewhere in the not so much on the media and you just came from nowhere, and then it's easier, like in the start of my career, and people didn't know that, and I was just enjoying my cricket. It was easier. Then you start learning things that people know about you as well. They're playing about you as well. Then it's getting harder and harder. Yeah.
Did you feel that? Do you feel, just even in general, not so much the Shane Warne situation, but there's rough outside off stump to the left-hander. Jon, go and win the game for us.
I think, it's definitely it's a challenge. It's a different skill set as well, I think. You don't really get to do it when you're a junior cricketer or even in club cricket. The amount of times you play on a wearing pitch with footmarks is very rare, especially in Australia as well. So I think when it gets to day 4 and they just expect you to do it, it's definitely tough. But it's also something you can train for. Like Fuzz said, he bowls 300 balls a day. It's I think as a spinner you need to be bowling a lot, and even if it's by yourself, you can put a cone where the rough is, even if there isn't rough there. So in a game, you've done it before and you can go back to it, because I think it's definitely a different challenge than just bowling normally on a good wicket, and it's something that you're expected to do and do well on day 4, and it can be challenging, but it's definitely rewarding when it goes your way.
All right, the last question I've got for you, Fawad, is you played for Australia, played a handful of one-day internationals and T20 games, but it just felt like when you played for Victoria, you were going home. Did you feel that?
Yeah, always. Yeah, I was lucky because I had the best time of my career here in Victoria. Part of the four Shield winning teams. I played 3 finals, missed out on the last one, but it's one Matador Cup as well, one-day cup. So I had an amazing time here. It was always good to come back here. Different feeling when you play for Australia is completely different. I know it's an absolute honor to play for a country. Duck played Test cricket as well, but here you are more family. We live in the same city. We live like 12 months a year. We all together, so it's completely different for Australia. I know they still teammates, they countrymen. They get together from all different states, but we knew that he's from New South Wales. So we always, but yeah, we support each other here. It's a different story. I got as I said, my second chance, like I was reborn here. And that's why I felt it like Melbourne is going to be always home. I'm so humbled to call it home as well. And yeah, it's always good to play here. I miss it, honestly, to be the part of, especially the dressing room culture as well. I got roast all the time. I still miss them. I told them I'm going to be missing because they used to give me a lot of tough time. Doug got an amazing sense of humor. He was one of my favorite in the team as well, honestly. But yeah, we have such an amazing group of boys. We had good time because we were winning for 4 or 5 years in a row, and it was great memories. I got a lot of photos and videos and chats in my phone, and I'll go through. It makes me, trust me, in the bed or at 1 a.m. in the morning, can't sleep, go through this, make me smile and put me to sleep, yeah.
Now, I ask all our guests, either at the start or the end of the interview, why is Victorian cricket so special to you? And you've answered that already. But do you ever sit and sometimes think, what if I didn't ask Simon Helmet if I could bowl? Do you ever think that? Because that's a life-changing decision, moment in your life.
Proud of myself that I went to Helmo and asked him, if I can bowl. So, because I'm not that brave enough, I would always sit back and, wait for everyone to go through, and then I might or might not, I'm that kind of person, I'm not going to take initiative, anywhere, but I think it just got in my head and was a life-changing moment, and I think it's just happened in the heat of the time, and I was more excited, excuse me, to be at the MCG and bowling to these boys, when I had a look around, there was so many big names around, and I thought, let's go, give it a go. And yeah, it works, yeah. I played with Helmo a lot now, coaching, under his coaching, so recently in Caribbean Premier League last year as well, so yeah, it's amazing when I was thinking and I was talking to him. Yeah, look where I came from. Do you knew that we're gonna be playing together in Caribbean in 10 years' time? It's amazing. Yeah, it's, so
amazing.
It is.
Amazing.
Yeah, when I'm thinking about those moments, it great memories, and I feel proud and very very grateful and thankful. Yeah.
Thank you for coming in and sharing your story. I know you've shared it before, but for us here today, it's been very special. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thanks for
awesome.
Thank you, Dak.
And thank you for coming in.
Thanks
Make
for
sure
having
you
me.
get yourself back on the park and playing some Shield cricket before the Big Bash break.
I'll try my best.
And a bit of golf as well.
And plenty of golf.
That's it for us for this week. I know it's a bit of a longer episode, but it's a big story, a long story, and a fantastic story, sharing it with Fawad Ahmed and also Jon Holland today. We'll catch you again next time.